In other words, the very powerful human defaults of do what I did last time and do what everybody else does. But because it makes these dangerous assumptions, it's able to construct elegant mathematical models around what should happen. It's not scientific in the sense of being an empirical science. It's merely scientific in that you can construct mathematical models and equations which make you appear scientific. And Hayek called this scientism. That you actually, you steal, if you like, the clothes and the language of Newtonian physics, and you apply it to something where such certainty, such sort of linear associations have actually no place. Human behavior is far, far closer to meteorology than it is to bridge building or train building or track laying in the kind of science you need. And yet, strangely, economists have rather enjoyed this completely unwarranted control they have. So nearly all businesses, for example, and all governments will have a chief economist or a chief economic officer. But no business I know of has a chief anthropologist. No business I know of has a chief game theorist. I don't know many businesses, Southwest Airlines is one exception, which actually have a behavioral economics team. But there are multiple sciences which are needed to understand the workings of mass groups of people. And economics on its own, with its assumption of individual action unaffected by the actions of others. This is to make the assumption that actually you don't really have fashion in clothing. Everybody gets up every morning and decides personally, without reference to anybody else, what is fashionable. And it's extraordinarily dangerous. A very interesting man called, you'll know, Max Planck, who was effectively the founder of quantum physics. He had a friend who was an economist who said, Max, why don't you become an economist? There's good money, you get to go to conferences, advise governments, that kind of thing. Probably be a bit more fun than doing the maths gig. And Planck, who is probably the most brilliant mathematician of the century, replied, I couldn't do economics. He said, the maths is too difficult. Because what he understood is that once you acknowledge the fact that people are actually, there are feedback mechanisms at work, that people are influenced by the behavior of other people around them, those simple mathematical models that make economics convincing and give it its influence actually start to fall down. So looking for delusions or strange behaviors other than soccer, which I think is a huge product of narrative bias and tribalism, elsewhere in society other than religion, seems to me a fruitful area for activity. And the big problem seems to be, in many, many cases, we assume individual agency. We assume that everything we do is a product of individual choice and that we do it because we like it. The extent to which we outsource our decision-making processes to other people and actually default to norms or default to past habit tend to be downplayed because this economic model still predominates in the understanding of how how capitalism is efficient, why competition is good, and so on and so forth. So here are a couple more.